एवरीथिंग हैज अ कॉस्ट, एवरीथिंग इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन द फ्यूल। उतना सारा बराबर क्रूड ऑयल परचेज कर रहे हैं, सारी क्रूड ऑयल परचेज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हमारी रिफाइनरीज को ज्यादा इफेक्टिव होने की रिक्वायरमेंट है। हेलो एवरीवन, मैं डॉक्टर राहुल प्रताप सिंह कौरव, मेरे साथ ही डॉक्टर सौरभ मित्तल।
हेलो।
हम आज चाय पे चर्चा करने जा रहे हैं और इसका सब्जेक्ट हमने रखा है विच इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, इफेक्ट ऑफ फ्यूल प्राइस हाइक। इसी में सर हम बात कर रहे हैं कि भाई क्या इफेक्ट्स हैं। इफेक्ट्स के पहले समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि व्हाट आर द रीजंस ऑफ फ्यूल प्राइस हाइक।
To my understanding, the biggest reason of fuel price hike is the Russia and Ukraine war that is going on for last 58 days. And in these 58 days, you can see that there has been consistent attacks from the Russian side on Ukraine, and now Ukraine is also protesting with the help of Western countries. So they are trying to negate the impact, and there have been lots of sanctions from US and European countries. So the flow of your petroleum from Russia to the different parts of the world that has been obstructed. So I believe this is one of the major reasons. In fact, on the other side, you can see that OPEC countries, they are also not coming forward. They are not increasing their oil exploration. So that is actually resulting into a demand-supply gap.
मुझे लगता है ओपेक कंट्रीज का थोड़ा सा अलग चैलेंज है। प्रोबेबली दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन टू मोर एक्सप्लोरेशन अबाउट फ्यूल, एंड प्रोबेबली उनको कभी ऐसा लगता है कि हमारे रिसोर्सेज जिस दिन सारे एक्सप्लॉइट हो जाएंगे तो शायद बात करना मुश्किल होगी, आगे अपने सस्टेन करना मुश्किल होगा। लेकिन हम वैसे भी कंपेयर करें तो रशिया से हम जो नेचुरल गैस या क्रूड ऑयल या जो भी हम इंपोर्ट करते हैं उसके रेशियो में तो ओपेक से हम उतना ओपेक से बहुत ज़्यादा करते हैं। रशिया का इतना इफेक्ट क्यों दिख रहा है हमको रशियन वॉर का कि लग रहा है कि ये दिस इज इफेक्टिंग मच?
Sir, Russia is actually a supplier of petroleum and the gas to majority part of the world.
Correct.
Right. So that is actually resulting into demand supply gap world over. It is not specifically for India. So the prices of fuel that has risen from like $60-70 in the month of January February to $130. Right now it is around $115 per barrel. So that around 60% of the hike or 80% of the hike, that is actually critical for world economy. And India actually, because we are also a net importer of fuel, so the impact is going to be very big on Indian economy side. And definitely it is going to impact the Indian families also. The family budget is also getting disturbed.
I was looking at a very recent article in Hindustan Times. This article suggests the condition of refineries in India is also very poor.
Okay.
It should be look into that perspective also कि भाई हम उतना सारा बराबर क्रूड ऑयल परचेज कर रहे हैं, सारी क्रूड ऑयल परचेज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हमारी रिफाइनरीज को ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव होने की रिक्वायरमेंट है।
Sir, I am not expert of that domain, but still what I believe is that there could be some scope of improvement, that you have some efficiency issues in your refineries, but I don't think it is going to be more than 5% or 10%.
Yes, very true, but 5% पूरी इंडियन इकोनॉमी की ऑयल प्राइसेस की बात करते हो तो that will make a huge effect on that.
Right. But probably there is lots of capital requirement, and you have to have latest machinery. So that may not be in the budget. That may not be affordable for the Indian refineries.
Correct.
So probably that is one of the major reason.
एक डॉक्टर साहब मुझे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रीजन लगता है कि हमने अभी भी फ्यूल को, पेट्रोलियम के रिलेटेड सारे प्रोडक्ट्स को, इंक्लूडिंग पेट्रोल, डीजल, नेचुरल गैसेज, एलपीजी, सब पे बहुत सारे टैक्सेस इम्पोज कर रखे हैं, वैट भी है, सारे टैक्सेस हमने उस पर लगा रखे हैं। तो डोंट यू थिंक कि अगर हम उस पर सीधा जीएसटी इंप्लीमेंट करें तो दैट विल हेल्प ऑल ऑफ अस?
See, sir, what I believe is that GST, the upper limit for GST is 28%.
Correct.
And out of that 28%, I think it is being divided between the central government and the state government. So around 14% is the share of your state government.
and SGST.
Right. So these both sides, central government as well as state government, both of them, they do not want to reduce their kitty. They have to have funds for their development work or whatever the state budget is.
That's
so
correct.
Definitely they don't want to bring petroleum products into GST. That remains one challenge. Because for the last 2-3 years, the moment we introduced GST in Indian economy, this kind of discussions have been doing rounds, but again, there is a resistance from both the sides, state as well as...
I completely agree with you, resistance from both the sides, state and as well as central government. और ये कहीं ना कहीं बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट भी है ये समझना कि हम जितने ज़्यादा टैक्सेस उस पर इम्पोज करेंगे,
राइट,
लेकिन प्रोबेबली टैक्सेस इम्पोज करने का रीज़न शुरुआत में ये था कि हमको अपना एक रेवेन्यू जनरेट करना था विच वी कैन स्पेंड इन अदर डेवलपमेंट वर्क, सोशल वेलफेयर, और वी कैन कॉल इट इन परफेक्ट इकोनॉमिक टर्म्स दैट मनी कुड हैव बीन स्पेंड ऑन द पब्लिक गुड्स।
राइट।
नाउ द चैलेंज इज कि ये पब्लिक गुड्स के लिए टैक्सेस और दूसरे सारे कई सारे सोर्सेज हैं रेवेन्यू के लिए। सिर्फ पेट्रोल, गवर्नमेंट इज थिंकिंग इन अ डायमेंशन, गवर्नमेंट अगर इस तरह से सोच रही है कि लोग ट्रांसपोर्ट करना कम कर देंगे, और दिस इज एक्चुअली फ्यूल प्राइसेस का जो आप इफेक्ट है ना, इट इज नॉट ओनली द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन। हम जो चाय पी रहे हैं इसके लिए भी एक ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट हमने बियर की है, हम जो बैठे हुए हैं जिस इंस्टीट्यूशन में वहां पे भी हमने ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट बियर किया। एवरीथिंग हैज अ कॉस्ट, एवरीथिंग इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन द फ्यूल। वेरी रिसेंटली आई वाज लुकिंग एट अ डिबेट ऑन अ टीवी चैनल which suggests that food prices are also increasing.
Right.
If food prices are increasing, I completely agree with that thought, but probably इसमें भी कहीं ना कहीं fuel prices का important role है, जिसके भी stationery के, transportation के, banking के, even tertiary sector have been affected by fuel prices. What do you think? What could be the different other effects on?
Sir, one major challenge that I could see is that the transportation of your goods, the cargo prices, that is going up.
Yeah.
Because majority of the material that is being transported by your trucks, right? So the consumption of diesel, that is actually going to impact your supply chain and logistics. Again, one of the latest report that I could see in Times of India today, it was talking about the inflation in the last 8 years, 2014 to 2022. I don't want to connect it politically, but yes, the facts that they have actually published, they are also very relevant for us. According to that report, it shows that the prices of your edible oil, that has risen more than 100% in the last 8 years. And in the petrol, as such, the price hike is around 30-35%. So comparatively, you can see that the food items, whether it is your wheat or whether it is your oil or it is a rental expenses. So for the common person, there are multiple factors which are impacting the budgets. So petroleum is one factor that is having like 35% hike, but rest of the factors, they are having like 60% to 100% hike.
I completely agree with your thought, but the challenge is कि ये अगर fuel prices 35% hike नहीं हुए होते, तो जो food prices में जो आप 100% hike देख रहे हैं, probably वो 35% कम होता.
Right.
राइट, करीब 65% के आसपास हाइक होता। आई वुड कंप्लीटली बाय योर आइडिया कि फूड प्राइसेस आर 100% इंक्रीज, प्रोबेबली द कॉस्ट ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल, कॉस्ट ऑफ सीड्स। आपके फार्मिंग में भी आप देखोगे तो आप ट्रैक्टर्स यूज करते हो, मशीनरीज यूज करते हो, वहां भी वो 35% का इफेक्ट है, दैट इज इनटू द रॉ मटेरियल। फिर जब आपके मार्केट में लेके आते हो, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में लेके आते हो, तो मुझे लगता है कि ओवरऑल अगर आप इन्फ्लेशन को देखोगे, ओवरऑल अगर आप महंगाई को देखोगे, तो मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं फ्यूल इज द बेसलाइन ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग दिस।
राइट, बिकॉज द CPI and WPI, we can see that the tolerable limit for CPI that was like 4 to 6%. And in the last week we have already crossed that 6% comfort level. So we are inching towards 7%. So that 4 to 6% cushion that was found out by RBI for Indian economy. So we are going into the inflation side now.
Correct.
So that is actually, yes, fuel is one major factor. And the government also reduced their taxes in the last December, I believe, when the fuel price was going up. So there was a reduction of 10 to 15 rupees per liter from state governments also and central governments also. But this time, because of COVID and because of many of the infrastructure projects, I don't see that government is going to reduce their taxes.
डॉक्टर साहब, मुझे लगता है कि एक और तरीका हो सकता है जिससे हम ये सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। हमारे पास एक रिफाइनरीज हैं विच इज़ अ सेकंड पार्ट, बट प्रोबेबली हम खुद से अपना एरिया भी, अपना सी साइड भी अगर एक्सप्लॉइट करने की कोशिश करें, तो बहुत सारा एरिया है इंडिया के पास भी जहाँ पे आपको पेट्रोलियम एक्सट्रैक्शन या पेट्रोलियम ये सारी चीज़ें मिल सकती हैं। हम उसमें क्यों नहीं फोकस करते सो दैट वी कैन स्ट्रेंथन आवर इकोनॉमी बाय सर्कुलेटिंग आवर ओन फ्यूल इनसाइड द इकोनॉमी?
Sir, as far as my knowledge is concerned, that there are some areas which have been found out by the Indian companies, especially ONGC and Reliance. They have found out some reserves but the cost of exploration of that oil, that is very, very high.
True.
So comparatively, Indian government is not ready to put their money into it. Yes, there is a major push on the renewable energy. So the solar energy is one area where government has achieved its targets ahead of time. So those targets that were planned for like 2030, that has been already achieved in 2021. So we are now having the enhanced targets that we are going to meet around 1 gigawatt renewable energy. So probably that is a very, very positive sign.
Yes, ये मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है कि भाई हम अगर अपना फ्यूल से शिफ्ट होकर टोटल इकोनॉमी को बैटरी बेस्ड या सोलर पैनल बेस्ड या वाटर बेस्ड एनर्जी सोर्सेज पे कहीं ट्रांसफर करें. यस, इंडिया इज keenly adopting this solar car, battery car and all these type of models, but probably abhi bhi there is yet to explore a lot of things.
I mean, government is putting lots of money into it, and the only challenge that I could see for this renewable energy thing, that remains the production of batteries and the charging of batteries. But in the metro cities like Delhi NCR, you can see lots of charging stations are coming up, and sales of your electric cars, that is also growing at a very, very fast pace. Around 25% hike I could see.
But still there is a challenge about if you want to travel more than 300 kilometers at one go, that will be the challenge. Probably this infrastructure need to come on the ground level. Highways and everything should have been facilitation of this charging on highway and all other way, or maybe the quicker charging is also a challenge.
See, there are whenever we have any kind of challenge, there are solutions being developed. I could see one article which was talking about swappable batteries.
Swappable batteries,
right?
Yes,
So if that is actually coming into reality, then definitely your electric vehicles, that can actually change the whole dimension, and a requirement of your fuel and the dollars that you are spending on your import of petroleum, that will also be reduced to a large extent.
स्वैपिंग कुड बी अ बेटर सॉल्यूशन जब भी हम बात करते हैं क्विक चार्जिंग की, क्योंकि आप कहीं ट्रेवल कर रहे हैं रास्ते में और फिर अचानक से आपको रुक के आधे घंटे का ब्रेक लेना पड़े, और फिर प्रोबेबली डेवलपिंग सम अदर एमिनिटीज टू द नियर टू द चार्जिंग स्टेशन विल बी अनदर टाइप ऑफ चैलेंज.
राइट सर,
दैट इज फॉर श्योर. बट प्रोबेबली shifting from one way of energy on which we are dependent since the years,
right,
since our existence, even
multiple generations.
Yes, multiple generation, and then shifting from that point to the completely way will definitely take a time. There is a long way to go with that.
But the real challenge that I could see is that even if your Russian-Ukraine war ends, maybe today, the effects will be there in the economy.
Yes, they'll be there.
And the prices will not go down.
Prices will not go
those sanctions will not move. Sanctions will be there for a long time. So the Russian oil will not be available to the world, and the prices of fuel, that may not go down drastically. There 100%. might be some variation, maybe 5%, 10%, but not more than that.
We are not expecting. Yes, हमने थोड़ा सा प्राइस रिड्यूस करना स्टार्ट किए थे. द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज स्टार्टेड इन्फोर्सिंग दैट, रिड्यूसिंग द प्राइस, रिड्यूसिंग द टैक्स इवन, बट फाइनली उनसे ज़्यादा दिन काम चला नहीं. वो लास्ट में लौट के हमको उसी पे वापस आना पड़ा. एंड एवरीथिंग इज बेस्ड ऑन दैट. एवरीथिंग इज अ क्लोजली निटेड, बिकॉज वी आर अ क्लोजली निटेड इकोनॉमी इन फैक्ट. तो ये कहना बहुत मुश्किल होगा कि एकदम से सारी चीज़ें हटा के आप फ्यूल के प्राइसेस कम कर दीजिए और ये सारी चीज़ें.
In fact, I could see that in the last 3-4 months, and especially these 58 days of Russia-Ukraine war, the prices have gone up by like 20 rupees, 25 rupees in Indian market.
Right.
So that is hardly 30% or 35% of the fuel price hike that we have seen in the last 60 days. But in the same period, those developed nations like US and Europe, they have seen the price hike by 50 to 100%.
Right.
So in fact, because of COVID and because of multiple reasons, you can see many of the economies in South Asia, they are crippling like anything.
True.
Economies like Sri Lanka, economies like Pakistan,
very
and Nepal.
Fact. Very impressive. Fact.
So all these three neighboring countries, they are struggling to meet the requirements of their common people. But at least here we should praise that our central governments and state governments, they are keeping the economy running. Lots of infrastructure projects are coming up, and the future seems to be bright. But yes, the challenges from fuel side, that will be there.
It's a very good thought.
It was a wonderful discussion, sir. So it was a pleasure to discuss about one pertinent issue of Indian economy. That's all from our side.
Yeah, and Our audience can feel free to comment on this video. Your thoughts, your opinion, your discussion point, even your questions. We'll be happily answer your things.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone.